This meeting is now being recorded.
So good morning. This is Ken Spencer with HR Service. I will turn the time over to Joshua, who's going to kick off our meeting here this afternoon.
Well, thanks, Ken. Good morning, everyone. My name is Joshua Weinstein. I'm joined in the offices of Northrim Benefits Group with my colleagues and fellow consultants Tanya Mott and Tiffany Stock. Some of you and many of you probably work with one of us on your benefit plans. The purpose of today's webinar is to cover two main topics. Excuse me. One is the passing ERISA audits, as well as meeting employee notification requirements under ERISA. The purpose of, or the timing for this webinar is important because recently the Department of Labor indicated that they were hiring hiring amounts of auditors to go out and look at compliance for health and welfare plans, where in the past they've primarily worked on auditing 401k plans. With this shift, we wanted to, as consultant partners to many of you, provide a resource to help you, ultimately the responsible party, be able to receive one of these audit letters and go through the list and say, yep, I've got all these things. We're doing what we're required to do under ERISA. I would look back to the intent of ERISA in trying to provide a level playing field and notification about what is required under the law as complicated. This is a field where there's no less than 20 different pieces of paper that you would potentially have to give out to employees at various times of the year. We found working with Ken Spencer at HR Service to be a great solution. They are proposing to consolidate and make these two main steps as easy as possible for our mutual clients. And the first part is the WRAP SPD, or Summary Plan Description, that takes all of your ERISA benefits like medical, dental, vision, life insurance, disability coverage, and puts them under one master plan document. And then the second part is providing you a consolidated set of required employee notifications. So by doing this, you've accomplished knocking off a lot of the required check marks, if you will, if you were to receive a DOL audit letter. The Department of Labor has said that they intend to audit every health and welfare plan within the next few years. And again, with this ultimately being a plan sponsor's responsibility, we still felt it was important for us as your consultant partners to give you some tools. This service is being provided to our clients at a cost, and we'll discuss the fees towards the latter part of the meeting. If you see value in it, we'll be here to help you get it set up and in partnership with HR Service to make sure you get the documents you need that are customized for your plans. So with that, I'd like to turn it back over to you, Ken, and off we go.
Great. Thanks, Joshua. We really appreciate the opportunity to partner with Northrim Benefits Group and Joshua and his team. Let's start out by talking about what ERISA is. So ERISA stands for the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. And as you can see by the name, it was originally formed to cover retirement plans. And it came about because of abuse that went on years and years ago where folks thought they had retirement plans in place, and then the company go out of business and they discovered that they had drawn out their retirement plans as well, which is usually the case when laws come into place. Usually there is some abuse. So over the years, they've added in the health and welfare benefit plans under the ERISA protection of this Employee Retirement Income Security Act. The Employee Benefit Security Administration, EBSA, they're the ones who administer the program, and they're a division of the Department of Labor. And the Department of Labor, so they cover all the health and welfare benefit plans, and as Joshua had mentioned, it's everything from medical, dental, life, disability, and so on. There's a bunch of others, and we'll show you some of those later in our discussion. So who's covered by ERISA? Which benefits are covered? And who's responsible for compliance? First, everyone who offers group benefits is covered by ERISA unless you are a church or a government entity. So a government entity could also include public schools if you're receiving funding from there. So those are the two main exclusions. Other than that, everyone is covered. I've had a lot of companies say, "Well, I'm just a small company of 2. Why does ERISA apply to me?" Well, it covers all group plans. So if you offer group benefits, you are covered by ERISA. And as we've already mentioned, which benefits are covered, it includes all the medical, dental, life, disability. It covers other things like HSAs, 125 premium-only plans, FSAs, all of those types of group benefit plans are included. Who's responsible for compliance? Sometimes there's a confusion thinking that, well, the insurance company takes care of that, or my insurance broker's responsible, or in reality it comes back to the employer. The employer is responsible for their compliance with ERISA as well as they are with all employment laws. The insurance company does not take that risk from you, nor does your insurance broker. And so ultimately you have to make sure that you're taking the steps, everything that we're talking about here today, to make sure you're compliant. Now, the insurance company and your broker, Northrim Benefits, they're there to assist and help you, but they do not take away your responsibility. Okay, so over the past, ever since the Healthcare Reform Act has come into play, also sometimes referred to as the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, or PPACA, there has been new light coming out on audits that are taking place on the health and welfare benefit plans. We've had 3 organizations audited just in the past couple of months. One was a group that was over 100 in size. As you might expect, larger groups. But the other 2, we had one that was a 44-person company and a 15-person company that were audited. And the insurance broker for this smaller company called and says, "Why are you auditing us?" And the response was, "All plans will be audited by 2018, is what they were told. And they had to, so this very small company of 15 employees had to prepare and respond to their audit and be ready for this. And so it was a little bit surprising for them and us as well. So it's not a matter of will you be audited, it's a matter of when will you be audited. Will your lucky number come up next month, or will it be in 2 or 3 years? And you don't know. It's really, you just can't say. So we're going to talk today about what you can do to get ready so that you can pass these ERISA audits. There's a number of documents that you need to have in place. And just in summary, every plan should have a plan document and, if applicable, trust agreements, summary plan descriptions, or a summary plan description wrap document. Let me tell you about the difference between those 2 documents. So summary plan description, it's more than what you get from the insurance company. It's not just that summary of benefits and coverage. It's not just a summary of benefits. It includes a number of other important things. It's everything that ERISA wants participants in a plan to receive, their rights, responsibilities, detailed information that needs to be communicated to them. So what a wrap document does, and we're going to go into more detail here later as well, but a wrap document pulls in all that missing insurance company information. And I'll define that more specifically when we get to that section. But you also need to have summary of material modifications. Now, what a summary of material modification is anytime you've had a material modification change to your plan. So, for example, maybe you're changing the premium sharing, or you're changing your deductible, your co-insurance, some major part of your program on the medical plan, for example. You have to provide a summary of that change, of that material modification. What changed? How were they impacted? When does it take place? And you should give that 60 days in advance to participants in the plan. And so their ERISA is looking for, have you provided those? Do you have those documents? They're going to look for other details about, the benefits brochures that you pass out, certificates of coverage, any other documents that you're sharing and giving to participants they potentially may ask for in this audit. Now, if you have questions as we go, feel free to to make a comment in the public chat area, and I'll check over there once in a while and respond to any of your questions. But otherwise, I will just continue to plug through our discussion. They also ask for Form 5500s and any attachments and financial statements. This only applies if you have 100 or more participants in any given benefit plan. So if you have 100 or more, then you have to complete Form 5500. And there's big penalties if you're not doing that, so you need to make sure you're doing that. They will ask for that document. Just in summary, and this is a summary from a 4-page document where they ask lots of questions. The essence of the things they were looking for is they asked for a summary plan description for each health and welfare benefit plan, or a summary plan description wrap, which would take care of all of them. They looked for various notices, and I'm going to cover notices in a moment, so I'll cover more details, but they checked and asked for evidence that you had provided those notices. They also asked for evidence that you've implemented various parts of the Affordable Care Act. And that's one of the things that the insurance companies and your insurance brokers are really good at, is making sure that you're informed and making those kinds of changes as you go. They do check for Form 5500, as I previously mentioned, and then they'll look at your record keeping and documentation that shows that you've completed and have done all of these things. And that could also include such things as open enrollment, the applications, as well as someone who signed saying that they didn't want coverage. You know, that you have that type of evidence in the premium information, the premiums that have been drafted. Okay, so specifically, a little more detail on what a summary plan description, some of the requirements are. As I mentioned already, it's more than what you get from the insurance company. Typically what you get from the insurance company is missing some other things like eligibility, what happens upon termination. And all of this information here, I won't read this whole big list. So what a wrap document does is it wraps around your component plan documents, and it pulls in the missing insurance company information. And then it ties in the required ERISA language so that when you're complete, you have one plan document and one overall summary plan description that meets all of your ERISA requirements. And that's why, as Joshua had mentioned, this is a very common approach and a very easy way to pull together that information. You could individually go out and try to create the details that goes into a summary plan description or an SPD. It's just, it can be very complicated in trying to create that separately for each of them versus just doing it all in one document. So this requirement, it requires that every participant in a plan receive this SPD or SPD wrap document. And this should then be given to all new hires who are participating in the plan. And then you have to distribute this again every 5 years if you've had changes to all participants in the plan. So you don't have to send it out to them every year. In between years, if you have changes, as we've already discussed, you would provide a summary of material modification. Okay, now this is a big list of various employee notice requirements. Just by virtue of offering medical insurance, a number of these notices may come into play. Everything from COBRA on down to summary of benefits and coverage. Now, most of us are pretty good at making sure we get the COBRA out, at least the qualifying event COBRA. Many of you may not know that you also need to send out an initial COBRA notice as well, informing people of their COBRA rights. The challenge is, as employers, we don't always know all of the qualifying events that may be going on with someone, like divorce or someone turns older than 26. And they lose coverage and they have COBRA rights. So by doing this initial notice, we're able to push that on to them and give them the responsibility to notify us. So we have to make sure we're doing all of these notices. Now, there's various notices in between here, and I'm not going to hit every single one of these. Some of them may not apply to you. It's driven based off of the size of the group and based off of the benefits and the way your benefits are set up. Like Medicare Part D, this has to be complete by October 15th. And so this is an important notice. I generally recommend that go out to all employees, the organization, you never know if someone is eligible. You know, typically that's for someone who's disabled or someone who's 65 or older, but you don't always know the situation of everyone's household. So we usually do recommend that you just send that out every year. Just make sure it's just like clockwork. And I think most of you know about the health exchange notice. That was due back in October of 2013, but it's still required that you provide it to all new hires. And so you've got all these different notice requirements, and it can be quite a pain and hassle to make sure you're keeping up on all of these. And as I mentioned earlier, ERISA does ask for some of these when they're doing their audits. Okay, let's talk a little bit about delivery requirements of the notices or the summary plan descriptions. So the notices or SPDs, I treat them both the same because both of them need to go out. So the summary plan descriptions or notices can be given either via mailed. You can mail them out to someone, and if you do this, you should give that to them with a first-class mail. Treat it almost like you're sending out your COBRA qualifying event letters. Also you could do hand delivery. If you're going to hand deliver them out to someone, I would obtain a receipt or a copy from them. Now, as you might recall, it's obvious here if you're passing it out this way, this is going to probably kill a lot of trees and you'll have lots of copies. The SPD wrap document itself is probably around 25 pages in length, and then as part of that process in creating the SPD wrap, you would attach some of your component plan information like insurance certificates or brochures that explain the details of the insurance company. So you can see you could get a pretty good sized document that then you have to distribute that out to all participants. So we recommend to the extent possible that you work towards one of these latter solutions, such as posting the information onto an intranet site where participants are given directions on how they can get to the information to obtain the details. If you're taking this approach, you still have to separately notify each participant. You could do that sending them out a card or a note, a letter explaining, here's where you have this important benefit information and here's how you obtain it. You do need to offer to them that you would provide them with a paper copy or access to a computer if they don't have one, and give them all the instructions that they need to get into this system. Another option could be that you could email to them, or you're emailing them instructions to get back to access the information on the intranet. Either way, the email has to be their employee's regular work email. If you want to be able to send it to a personal email, you can do that if you obtain written consent. And we have all those documents and everything that you would need to complete this whole delivery process. In fact, last month we actually sent around a bulletin giving instructions on all the delivery details and all the options, as well as forms and documents to help complete that process. And anyone who's working with us, of course, would receive that information. Okay, so if you're going to be prepared for an audit, there's a number of things that we need to have in place. First, we need to make sure that you have prepared and have distributed the summary plan descriptions or wrap documents to all participants. You need to complete all of the required employee notices that we've talked about. You should notify participants of any changes in their plan each year with a 60-day advance notice to the extent possible, and using what's called the Summary of Material Modification, or abbreviated here SMM. If applicable to you, if you have 100 or more participants in any given plan, you would need to fill out Form 5500 and give participants also a copy of the SAR, or Summary Annual Report. And then lastly, make sure that you establish a good record-keeping process where you're maintaining records of all contributions to the various plans, the enrollment records of participants, who's enrolled, who's not enrolled, and any other reporting documents. So you want to be able to demonstrate that you've sent the notices, the SPDs, who was it sent to, and when was it sent, and what did you send them. So I would keep all of that type of documentation and records in a file so that you're ready if and when the auditors come in. If for some reason Now, before I get to fines and penalties, let me just open up. Is there any questions so far about anything that we've talked about here? And I'm going to reference over to the chat area, and I just want to see if what questions that we might have. So. Okay, looks like I'm not seeing any questions here yet. So, if you have any, feel free to send them over there. So there are potentially fines and penalties if you do not, if you're in violation of ERISA, and they will. You never know when an auditor comes in. Are you going to have the friendly auditor that will just say, no problem, you don't have your SPDs in place, you're missing some notices, go take care of that. You might be the lucky one that gets someone that says that. Or you may be the one that's not so lucky, and they say, okay, your fine is $100 to $110 per day per participant per plan, up to $500,000. If you're hiding information or you're committing crimes of some sort related to ERISA, there could be criminal and civil penalties as well. So we're not one to suggest that you take the risk because you don't know if you would be assigned penalties. In fact, I think this is part of the reason why they're even doing the audits is I believe they're looking for fines and penalties to help to fund a lot of the expenses associated with the Affordable Care Act. Well, I'm going to move into a part of our discussion where we will provide you with this is where we can actually help you in preparing you for audits and taking care of three main problems. One is we're going to give you what you need to know and do every month. We're going to have you ready to pass audits, and we'll have you HIPAA compliant, and we'll help you with all of your employee notices. So we're going to go through all of these here. And it looks like I did have a question come over, so I'm going to stop for just a second and address that. It says, if changing medical plans, do you still have to provide a 60-day notice? If you're changing from one plan to another, to the extent possible, it is helpful to do the 60-day notice. I mean, they do say that you should give a 60-day notice of any material modification change. In reality, that's difficult sometimes. Often we're making final decisions about which plans we're moving to last minute, and then we make those plans and then we quickly communicate. In instances like that, if you can demonstrate that you've done the best you can, I do not anticipate that you would have fines associated with that. Okay, so
Ken, this is Josh.
Yes, Josh, please.
My understanding is that the summary of material modification only has to be provided in advance outside of the renewal period. Is that right?
Yeah, now that is the main time. But if you're making changes to your plans, I mean, you would still need to provide them a summary of material modification explaining the changes. Now, sometimes the materials and information you're getting from the provider, if you're making changes in plans, might be sufficient to communicate what those changes are. But you do, even outside of just renewals, you still would have to provide some sort of material modification. Okay, any other questions along those lines? Okay. So one of the first things that we're going to do for you under this, I'm going to talk to you about an overall service called Compliance Basics plus SPD Wrap. And this is a service we recommend to help you to take care of all of your ERISA compliance needs and more. The first thing the service does for you is it gives you what you need to know and do when needed every month. So each month we're going to give you an employment law update that will give you key due date reminders and actions that you need to take. So here's an example of one that would come out to you. This is one that went out in January, and it would show you all the key compliance reminders and actions that's taking place, things that you need to do. It gives you federal compliance changes and actions, as well as state-by-state changes. So you may have employees in multiple states. So when the article goes out, when our update goes out, in any state that's highlighted or underlined, that means there was a change in that area. So if it's just black and there were no changes. So like in Nebraska here, there were no changes in Nebraska, so there's nothing for anyone to look at there. Okay. Same thing with Alaska. When this went out, there were no immediate employer actions or changes in the state of Alaska. The next thing we give you each month, so that first part gives you what's changed, but we didn't really tell you how to implement or how to make some of the changes. So that's what we do with our HR bulletin. We take a different topic each month, just one topic. We know most of us don't like getting bombarded with lots of information. Just give us a couple of things and then we'll deal with it. And that's the approach we take. You'll just get one legal update each month, and it covers everything that went on the prior month and up through now. And then with our bulletin, we'll cover different topics. Like I mentioned before, we covered how to send out to do your notices and SPD distributions. We've covered how to set up wellness plans, how to pass an ERISA audit. We even cover some other HR best practice things like hiring or terminations or that sort of thing. So again, we're striving to give you best practices at your organization. Okay, back to this list of employee notices. We have created a web-based tool where either you or your insurance broker can go in, answer a few questions about your company, and then push a button that says Generate Employee Notice Document. And when you do that, our system pulls in which notices apply to you, all of these in this bracket, pulls in, and then it populates the notices that have sections that have to be customized, like the Medicare Part D. You have to indicate in there whether you have creditable coverage or not, and the name of the plan and the name of the company as well. So the system will generate and pull that out, and it emails it out to you in a ready-to-deliver format with instructions on what to do next. There's also another button inside of this system, and I'm actually going to go in and show it to you, where you can click a button that says Health Exchange Notice. And that Health Exchange Notice then, now even though that was due back in October, as we previously discussed, you have to provide it to all new hires still. And so you can generate the most recent health exchange notice inside of here as well. It pulls in which notice applies, it populates it in a ready-to-deliver format. Also in our web-based tools, you'll see that we're providing you assistance with the summary plan descriptions, and ultimately we'll be helping with summary material modifications as well. Right now we're doing that process manually, assisting with those, but we will have that automated within the next few months as well. So the only thing on this list that we're not assisting with is the SBC, Summary of Benefits and Coverage. That's taken care of by your insurance company. With that, let's go out of here for a moment, and I'm actually going to open up our, I'm going to go into our site. Okay, so if I sign into hrserviceinc.com, and I'm going to log in as if I'm logging in as a client right now. So this is what you would see if you were to log into our system here. Okay, so once I log into the system, I have a number of drop-downs up here where I can go in and take some actions to help me to be compliant, to help me use best practices. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on all of the sections, but you'll see over here there's a HIPAA toolkit. I can go in here and determine there's a checklist that I can follow to make sure, am I HIPAA compliant? Do I have personal health information, PHI, that I need to protect at my organization? And then if I need a policy or I need various forms and documents to create my overall HIPAA compliance program, we have all of those documents right here for you. So we make this really easy for you to be HIPAA compliant. Okay? Now also I mentioned running this all-in-one employee notice. So I'd like to go to that first. So if I go under Employee Notices, Employee Notice Report, now I can come in here and I can answer various questions about my organization. And you'll see in here, most of it's pretty straightforward. The things that drive notices are number of employees, of course, the states in which you do business, and then as you go down here where it says medical insurance, do you offer medical insurance? All of these questions about medical insurance drive the various notices back at this list that we just went through. So so all of these notices are driven by these questions inside the system here. Once I've answered these questions, now I can come in here and I click this button that says Generate Employee Notifications Document. If I were to click that button right now, it would email me this all-in-one notice that would obtain all of the different notice requirements, and it would come to me with instructions on what to do next, and then in a ready-to-deliver format that I can just give it out to employees back to the various ways of delivery. I can mail it to them, I can hand it to them, I can put it on an intranet and notify them about it, or I can email it to them. So you're ready to take care of that. The same is true with your health exchange notice. So I could come back in and click this button and generate a health exchange notice, and it would be emailed to you in a ready-to-deliver format. Okay, so if I come back here, there's also a section on triggered event notices. So I can come in here, if I have 50 or more employees within a 75-mile radius, Family Medical Leave Act applies, or FMLA. I have all of the FMLA documents and forms that I need inside of here. If I need COBRA qualifying event letters, there's sample template ones inside of here, and as well as other possible trigger and event type notices that you might need. I can access all past legal updates. So if I'm looking for month by month, or if I'm looking for topics, I can go in and find any sort of legal topic if I'm looking for details or information on that inside the center. I can also access all of our past best practice articles. So we call it our HR bulletin, but we take just one topic and go into it in detail. So you can find any kind of topic that you under the sun that you might need in here. There's a section in here called HR forms. I can click the HR forms. Now most of you have your new hire forms and documents. But it's nice to have a one-stop shop if you need anything where you can get the latest I-9, W-4, a job application, a direct deposit form, payroll deduction authorization, whatever, it's all right here for you at your fingertips. You can also, now this leads us going into the SPD wrap document service. So before I go in and demonstrate that for you, I just wanted to show you some of the highlights here on this. The service, both your broker and you have access to where you can go in and answer questions and fill out information inside of the center. Once you fill out the information and answer the various questions, you click a button to either you can save the information and come back in at any time you want, or if you're ready, you can generate your document. And when you push the button to generate your document, it comes over and is reviewed by our ERISA specialist. Our specialist is not an attorney. He's an expert in the requirements of ERISA and an expert in the details of what should be inside the document. And she reviews your information that you've provided in the center. And so she'll go in and make sure if she has any questions, she'll reach out and contact you if something doesn't look clear. So you've got another second set of eyes on helping you through this process. Once everything is done, then she emails out to you the final document with instructions on what to attach or include with it and then how to deliver it. And keep in mind when you're generating these documents, ERISA, we're not pulling in the detailed insurance company information like exclusions, deductible, co-pays, etc. And so you have to attach information that communicates that to participants. So once you get our document, you'll get the SPD wrap document. You'll attach then the insurance certificates or other brochures and details that explain the insurance company information to complete it. So then once that's together, then you can go through that delivery process. So let's go back and let me show you what that looks like inside the center now. So if I were to go into the SPD wrap document itself, and as I mentioned before, Joshua and his team will have access to this as well, so they could come in and help fill out some of this information for you. And inside of here, then, you can upload your logo so that when the document arrives, it's got your logo, all of your information on, ready to deliver format. Most of this is pretty straightforward, and I won't hit every section, but I'm going to cover just a couple of these. One of the questions that says, do you currently file Form 5500 for health and welfare benefit plans? If that is no, our system will automatically assign your plan number as 501. If it's yes, and you've previously used 501, you would take the next sequential number, and which would be then 502. If you've already used 501 and 502, then of course it would be 503. Now I come down here, I only check, it says check all that apply, which health and welfare benefit plans apply to you. So check the ones that apply. In this case here, we've filled out saying we have a medical, a dental, a life, a long-term disability, and a cafeteria 125 plan. So now those fields down below become required fields, and then they're ready for me to go down and fill out. So if I go down there now, you can see here's the medical insurance, here's the dental, life insurance, LTD, cafeteria information, and that's all that appears benefit-wise for me to fill out. And then I can, now there's other sections here, and I won't hit everything in a lot of detail, but I just wanted to cover that you have to cover your eligibility. Initially, when you're filling this out, I would look at this and focus on eligibility for your medical plan. And then if there's other benefits that's different from that, so like here it says, is the benefit eligibility start date the same for all benefit plans? If it's no, I can say no, and then I can come in here and say, well, the dental insurance, that one starts as of the date of hire. Are there other benefits that's different? I could say yes. Also, I have a wellness plan that starts, so you can indicate and change any of those, or I can hit remove if I want to take something off. Does eligibility differ for any employee group, such as executives or exempt? If benefits eligibility is not the same for everyone, then I would say yes, indicate which group. So it may be management or exempt, or maybe it's union, whatever it may be that's different. And then I indicate their eligibility. Are there other groups that's different? I could say yes, and then cover the differences for each of those groups. Again, if I want to take something off, I just click remove. Okay. So again, I won't hit every section in here, but what I hope that you walk away from today is realizing that having this web-based, where it's saving the information about your health and welfare benefit plans, it's stored in here. It's easy for you to come in and enter the information. It's easy for your broker to assist you. And then all you've got to do is save and exit or generate your document. Here at this point, you decide, where does this document go? Is it going to go to you, the client, or is it going to go out to your insurance broker? So you can decide that. There is a place here where you can make notes if you wanted a note to our ERISA specialist. Our system captures probably 98% of all situations. Every once in a while you have something that's really strange and you're not sure where to put it. And you can type that in here, or you can call our ERISA specialist and she can assist you as well. So there's again, you have to make sure that you save the information or to generate the document every time you've gone in. And then once you click that, you give the system just a couple of seconds to process it. This is a database system, and it has to process your information, and then it'll take you out to the next screen. Okay? Now, if any of you do need a 125 premium only plan document, that is available as well. So that's something else. And just so you know, when that's required, anyone if your employees are participating in premiums for any of your plans, medical, dental, life, or even supplemental plans like an accident policy or a cancer policy, if they're participating in any of those with the premiums, you need to have either a 125 premium-only plan document, sometimes referred to as a POP document, or you need to have a full 125 cafeteria plan that usually is associated with flexible spending accounts, like for medical or child care. So if you have either of those main documents, then you're fine and you'll be able to you'll be in compliance with the IRS. Otherwise, you're in violation of tax laws if you don't have that document. So that is available here as well. So if anyone needs anything like that. Okay, so I'm going to go back now to our system here. So what we've talked about so far is we've covered how can we help you pass an audit, how can we help you know what you need to know and do every month, how can we help you with your HIPAA compliance and help you with all your employee notice requirements. And we can do that through this Compliance Basics plus SPD wrap service. We have emailed solutions. We email out to you the legal update and due date reminders in a once-a-month legal update that goes out, as well as one best practice HR bulletin that tells you how to do certain things every month. We've gone through the web-based tools where you can access the all-in-one notice, the health exchange notice, and the SPD wrap service notice, all web-based tools. We've shown you how you have access to all of our past articles, legal updates, and best practices, as well as a section for new hire forms and documents. And from there, Joshua, if you are on, I'm going to turn it back over to you, and you can talk to everyone about how to get started if they'd like to join any of these plans.
Sure. Thanks, Ken. Not sure if anyone needs an espresso at this point or a bottle of wine or maybe both, but certainly a lot of information, and we are really looking forward to our partnership with HR Service to have the easiest way to comply and be ready for an ERISA audit for your SPD wrap document and your employee notifications. What we are doing is we're able to offer this service to our clients at a annual fee of $400 that will be billed by Northrim Benefits Group to each employer that would like to avail of the service. It doesn't matter how large or small of an employer you are, it would be the same fee. You could go directly to HR Service and purchase this program or potentially through another administrator who could put plan documents together for you and might be able to obtain a lower cost potentially, but we would be involved with you if you contract and work directly with us to help you fill in the blanks as you go through and populate the fields for making the documents. The additional Section 125 premium only plan document is an additional $100, bringing your total to $500 for the year. Many of our clients already have a premium only plan or a Section 125 plan in place, and we can help evaluate with each of you that are interested in which program we would recommend you go with, whether it's the $400 a year program, that's the SPD wrap and the employee notifications, or the $500 program that includes the Section 125 premium only plan. We feel there's great value in getting ready for an ERISA audit and making sure you're complying with the spirit of ERISA. We know that many of our clients, those that we've worked with for years and those that we've taken on as a new consultant, the employers have not been fulfilling all of these responsibilities because of the complexity and the changing nature of the regulatory environment, and we think for the first time we found as easy of a solution to comply as possible, and we want to extend that ease to our partners. So with that, Ken, I appreciate your covering the services. As far as initiation of the programs, we'd ask that you reach out to our office. Tanya Mott, who sent the emails out to all of you, Tanya will be able to gather the information if you're interested or if you have any more questions about HR Service. She'll help you get started. From there, we'll send you an invoice. Upon payment of the invoice, we'll be able to get you into the system and you can start creating your plan documents.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Joshua. I really appreciate everyone joining us today. If you have further questions about anything I've talked about, and by the way, we will make available to you copies of the slides that we've gone through today, as well as we'll actually be sending around a recorded copy of this training. So this will be going out to you. If there's any others at your office that needs this information, you're welcome to share that with them. If I can answer any questions for you specifically about anything we've gone through today, you can feel free to email me or call me. 855-447-3375 is my toll-free number. I'm at extension 6. Great. Joshua, is there anything else that we wanted to go through today?
Not that I can think of, Ken. Just look forward to helping everyone with any of their questions or concerns regarding the program we discussed.
Great. Thank you. And thanks, everyone. Really appreciate your time today, and we look forward to working with you and helping you be compliant not only with ERISA but all employment laws. Thank you, and have a nice afternoon.